guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We are here at Mecum Kissimmee, the big annual start off to the whole year of Mecum auto auctions throughout the United States. Of course, you're gonna see a lot of cars. One that I had to stop at and show to you is this one right here. This is a 2016 Nissan GTR, but guess what? As you can see, this is not your standard GTR. This is a GTR NISMO. But before we get into this steroid-injected, twin turbocharged, all-wheel drive beast, let's talk about what's going on here. Nissan, they used to make a vehicle around the world called the Skyline. The Skyline got a souped-up version in 1970 called the GTR. That was the beginning of the lineage. Now, for many years, there wasn't a GTR until we get into 1989, and that's where we see the legendary R32 Skyline GTR. That really sparked off and recreated this experience of high performance, all-wheel drive, and of course, Japanese durability and reliability. Now, those GTRs in the early years went down to Australia to race in their supercar series and became so dominating that it was the Aussies that called the car Godzilla, and that's where it gets its nickname, being called Godzilla. Now you have your R32s, of course the 33, everybody knows the R34, especially if you are a Paul Walker fan from the Fast and Furious franchise, but it was the R35 where the United States got its first taste. This car came out in 2009 and for the most part has stayed very consistent through the years. But in 2015, they dropped the bombshell and it was this vehicle right here, the NISMO. And what does NISMO stand for? Nissan Motorsports. That's where they take all that experience they learned in racing and bring even more of it into this platform. So what I want to find out is, if you're looking for that supercar killer, and maybe you don't want to spend $500,000, is this R35 GTR NISMO the one to buy? Let's go ahead, let's dive into our 2016 model and find out. Right off the bat, you see the familiar lines of the R35. Now up front, you are going to get that same style with the LED projector headlights. The one thing I am going to zonk is I wish they didn't chrome the inside of the headlight housing, especially on a vehicle like this one that has a lot of blacked out accents on it. Working your way down, you have more exterior lighting, of course LED, and I like how on this generation you can see how they extend that front fascia. All of this is for extra aerodynamics, and what's fascinating is compared to other sports cars and supercars, the R35 GTR is quite large. It weighs almost 4,000 pounds. Don't let that fool you though. On the NISMO, you are gonna get this carbon fiber front splitter. This is gonna help give us extra downforce and extra cooling for the brakes. We come across the front with that GTR badge going all the way back to 1970, and if you work your way to the driver's side, we have the NISMO badge. Nissan Motorsports, carbon fiber throughout the center and the lower portion. Of course, everything is gonna be fully functional. Nothing on this car is for show and no go, and that's where it cuts some of the weight. One of the biggest ways that it cuts weight is this has an optional over $12,000 titanium exhaust. Yes, you heard correctly, an optional $12,000 titanium exhaust all the way back. But as we rise on up, you are gonna get the same exact hood as your standard GTR. You see those NACA ducts. The reason why these NACA ducts were developed by the early space program is because they flow plenty of air, but they don't create a lot of drag. And remember, drag is not your friend when you're going for that straight line performance, and that's one of the balances, right? You add extra aero, that's gonna give us downforce, but it's gonna create some drag. But the NISMO engineers they have worked on finding that perfect balance. I love the way it's got that flared front fender, how it comes off and then comes nicely into the front fascia. Now, as we work around the bend, it's not just about creating more horsepower, which guess what? When we pop the hood, you're gonna find plenty of extra ponies under it. It's also about handling and braking. Now, on this particular NISMO, you're gonna find these forged wheels. Rays, which is a very popular brand in motorsports and in the import industry. 20-inch wheel, they are forged so they're lighter and stronger, which means you have less rotating mass. And then you'll notice that we have those massive, over 16-inch brake rotors, two-piece rotors. You can see that 6-piston Brembo caliper, really nicely done with the Nismo badge embossed on the wheel. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this tire up front? You're looking at 255 on the width, 40 series sidewall, and of course, these are Bridgestone Potenza More Focus track tires. So this is really a track day tire. They've worked through the whole suspension to get this to really be fine-tuned, and they even worked on how the all-wheel drive works. And that's something that's very unique about the GTR, is that it actually has two drive shafts. Normally, like in a Subaru WRX, you have the drive shaft going from the engine to the rear wheels. This, you actually have two separate drive shafts to make all wheels get all the power, and they really worked on that. One of the things you'll notice is that arrow on the front fascia here. Love the way that flows nicely down the side of the vehicle. And as we continue down the side, you'll get that familiar functional side vent with the GTR badge. And then you'll also notice as we drop down, look at that carbon fiber splitter with the red trim all the way down. Now I know you're probably gonna think, Joe, you're probably not gonna zonk anything on this car. Get ready for it. I gotta zonk this right here. First of all, they're not carbon fiber mirrors, but also this is just a sticker. That red trim is just a sticker. It's not even painted on. So that's a little bit of a zonk. But working our way down, you still get your flush mounted door handles. Love that side sill, how it comes in the rear. And when we look at the rear, what are we talking about? We're talking about more rubber to meet the road. So with this all-wheel drive setup, it is rear-wheel drive based. That's gonna send more rubber to meet the road. And what you're looking at is 285 on the width, still those massive rotors and calipers out back. And then talking about massive, I'm gonna have Steven kind of slide down and slide on back. You have this tabletop size rear wing. It's not just for looks, this is for performance. At 186 miles per hour, this wing adds an extra 220 pounds of downforce to this vehicle. Love the way it's full carbon fiber. You can see all the aero treatment that they did to the end plates. You'll also notice on the rear here how you have that continuation of the carbon fiber and that extra aero. And then as we come across the back with that rear wing that you could have Thanksgiving Day dinner on, you could have the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the cranberry sauce. You're getting the classic 4 round taillights. I don't care what generation you're looking at, you get that 4 taillight setup. And then working all the way down to the asphalt, there's that titanium exhaust. Not the sexiest looking, but like I said, that's gonna shave a ton of weight and help give us extra power. And you have that carbon fiber rear diffuser, but you can see the width of this thing. Let's go ahead though, let's pop the hood and talk horsepower of this Nismo. All right guys, we got the hood open. You do have a prop rod, which is very surprising, especially when you hear the price of this vehicle. So let me know if I should zonk that or not, but I'm definitely not gonna zonk what's underneath the hood. First of all, you have one of the sexiest intake plenums. These are each of the individual runners for the V6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Love the way they have this simple engine cover with the bright red and the Nismo badge. And you also have this carbon fiber brace at the firewall. And then when you thought everything was done, look at this, hand assembled in Japan. But what are we talking about when you go Nismo? So you're still gonna get that 3.8 liter twin turbo V6. But like I said, we're now going from a little over 500 horsepower, you're looking at 600 horsepower, 481 pound-feet of torque. It is still mated to a 6-speed DCT. And remember, going back to 2009, Nissan was one of the first when it comes to a DCT transmission. 0 to 60 in this vehicle is around 2.8 seconds, top speed 191 miles an hour. And even though she's quite large, she weighs 3,883 pounds. And if you're worried about MPGs, really you shouldn't be, but you get 16 in the city, 23 on the highway. But definitely one of those engine compartments where you open the hood, you get yourself a lawn chair, you get yourself maybe some iced tea or lemonade, maybe make it an Arnold Palmer, and you just stare at that thing of beauty. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the interior of this GTR Nismo. All right guys, we're inside this 2016 Nissan GTR, but we're not talking about a regular GTR. We're talking about a GTR NISMO. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, what about price? Well, obviously this car is not brand new. You could still get a new GTR NISMO for 2023. It's well over $220,000. This one brand new back in 2016 was $165,000. It will be interesting to see what it gets when it goes across the block. Guess what? It's no reserve. So it's gonna sell today, but let's see how it stacks up for the money and is it worth the price to the door panel. So you're gonna get that red black style from the outside brought into the interior. So you have red stitching, red on the handle pull, and then everything else is gonna be your typical GTR R35. Of course, you're gonna have that cargo net for 4 to 5 Twinkies, and you got the Bose sound system. Now going from the door panel to the dash, very far forward, you got your twin AC vents, more of that red stitching, and then you have the infotainment system. Now, this is where infotainment system was at back in 2016. I can't turn the car on because I'm not bidding on the car, but this display actually was worked on with the creator of Gran Turismo, the original Gran Turismo, to get all the auxiliary gauges. I love the way they got the carbon fiber, all real buttons. So you could use the touchscreen, but we got all real buttons for your dual climate control. You got your toggle switches to go in pure R mode for your suspension, the all-wheel drive, the whole 9 yards, more carbon fiber, and a CD player. So you got carbon fiber and a CD player and the NISMO badge. This little guy right here, this is gonna control that 6-speed DCT, dual clutch transmission. Love the way they add the leather with the red stitching. You got that bright red start-stop button. 2 cup holders that have a nice cover, real easy to do. Got the mechanical e-brake, nice armrest. You open this up, somebody's got their paperwork in here. Obviously, if you buy it, you get the paperwork, and then you can put your Twinkies in there. You can put about, I would say 5. So there's actually some pretty good Twinkie storage for a supercar, especially a supercar killer like Godzilla. Seats, love them. Recaro, one-piece back, the NISMO embroidery, the Recaro name, red, black, and their full electric assist for the passenger and the driver. It's funny because the bolstering doesn't look that impressive, but it actually holds you into place very well, and you do have rear seats. No, I'm not getting in them, but you could put a small piñata, maybe a paper mache doll of yourself back there, or a teddy bear. But why don't you come on over here? I want to show you behind the wheel of this Alcantara wrap steering wheel in this GTR. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have that GTR badge in the sill, and then you do have a pedal box with an aluminum brake pedal, throttle, and nice large dead pedal. Power seats, like I said, on both sides, and they are heated. I got plenty of room in here. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room. There's the steering wheel. Alcantara wrap with that bright red leather stripe up top. You do get surfboard style paddles behind the wheel. I just wish they were metal, not this weird leather plastic. And then you have your instrumentation with that bright red on the tachometer. Nice touch with your NISMO tach. And then watch this. If you want to tilt the steering wheel, you actually tilt the whole dash display, just like the 350Z and the 370Z. And you'll also notice the Alcantara that's up top with the stitching to finish it off. I would love to go on throttle in this 600 horsepower beast, but we're at Mecum. That day will come, so stay tuned, but let's wrap it up from Kissimmee and this Mecum Auto Auction. All right, guys, this is the types of cars that you get to experience at Mecum. And like I always say, whether you're gonna bid on a car or not, just coming to one of these events is a major car show all in itself. But let me know what you think about this 2016 Nissan GTR NISMO. Would it be your supercar choice or supercar killer? Is there another vehicle out there? Let me know down in that comment section, is it worth the price to you? But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. We got to give it up to Steven. We're popping his cherry, his first Mecum Auto Auction. Thank you, Steven, for all that you do behind the camera. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.